I'm Leslie. I'm a mom of 3 and a bunch of other things.
And I'm Candi. I'm a drag queen.
And we both like creating things, learning about stuff, and getting inspired by the world around us.
Yeah. And she's running a temperature. La la Leslie and the drag queen. Yeah. La 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 Leslie.
Candi, the recording button, it was like 3, 2, 1. It felt like a rocket.
1.5.
1.5.
1 3/4.
No, that's what
Just
our mama
kidding.
used to say before you get the spanking. That's what I got.
What do you
Countdown.
mean?
Oh, like if you didn't do something by the count of 3.
Then you would get beat. I know. It's the South. It's a very, it's a hard place to grow up.
That's right. We started this off on a really dark note, but hi, Candi.
Oh, not dark for me, just dark for you, hun.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry you're beat. Did you have to choose? Did you have to choose your stick?
No, I got the belt usually.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
a belt. Belt. No, my dad would, like, me and my cousins, my female cousins. He would he beat us with a yardstick.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
That hung in the kitchen closet. And if that thing came out, you knew you were in trouble.
Watch out.
You're in trouble.
My
Hi,
brother.
guys.
Hi. Hang on, I have to tell about the yardstick because that's too good to pass up. My brother, who you know, and he does stand up here in Austin, and he used to have this old joke about being in cloth world as a child, which I don't think exists anymore, but it's like
probably not, but I remember it.
Joann's Fabrics, because our mom made all of our clothes and everything. He was acting up or something because, spending time in a cloth store was not exactly thrilling for a child, and we would just be there forever. And so he did something, and she pulled out a yardstick from the yardstick display at the store, spanked him with it, put it back in the display, and all he could say was, "You didn't pay for that." And she loves telling everyone. She was in the audience one night when he was recording a show, and he told that joke, and she very proudly was like, "Yep, I did. I absolutely did. Right.
I beat my child with the yardstick
that I did not pay for."
Well, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Disclosing Abuse with Candi Shell and Leslie Garr. Sorry, I just had to get top billing for once, just.
Oh, I like it. That's good. I can give you that.
I mean, I understand the drag queen and Leslie.
It doesn't flow.
Right. No, it kind of actually makes me, when you put it like that, it makes me feel like I'm Giant Monster. Like I'm like a 12-foot tall drag queen that's all kind of Frankensteinish and hunkered over, and you're like just holding my hand. It's like the drag queen, the drag queen, and Leslie.
I like it. It's like Leslie and the 50-foot woman, Attack of the 50-foot woman, but it's a drag queen.
But we're just talking about girl stuff and getting beat with yardsticks.
Neither one of us is feeling super great. I'm sick. I have not been this sick in a long time. I really don't get sick. And you have crazy allergies today.
I was having allergies this morning, yes.
I think that's why we went down this road right off the bat.
Because we're delirious.
We are. I totally am.
Yeah, we're wallowing is what we're doing right now. I feel terrible, and I was beat, and the world is falling apart. But not really. Not really. Things are moving and shaking. And Leslie, the reason that we're feeling, and I'm not even going to totally identify with feeling bad, because that was my host body feeling bad. I'm a whole nother thing. I
like it.
I got a latte here I'm sipping on, non-dairy.
Nice.
And love those mouth sounds in a podcast.
What kind of milk do you get in there?
I do oat milk. Oat milk.
I just tried oat milk the first time the other day. They were giving out samples at the store.
And
I don't think I would have ever bought like a whole carton
what was your
without the sample.
impression?
I liked it. It was like, oh, this tastes like the milk left at the bottom of my oatmeal when I make it. That's what I told the guy. And he's like, right? He was some young, Gen Z guy. He's like, right? It's not that bad. People have been ragging on me all day or whatever they would say. Probably not ragging on you.
Well, yes, but so maybe not feeling so great. Are you coming off of a big project? Are you gearing up for something?
I am gearing up for lots of things. I just got back from the Erma Bombeck Writers Workshop conference that they have every 2 years, and it got me, and we're going to get more into that in a little bit, but it got me just so excited and buzzing. It sounds what?
Very fancy.
Yeah, it does. Right. It was so much fun, and they usually have it every 2 years, but with COVID, the last one they just did virtual, and so we had not been in person to do this in 4 years. So that was where I met a lot of my writer friends initially, and it was just like this big reunion to get to see everyone that you just normally are talking online with, and just drinking a lot, basically.
Really?
And I learned, oh my God, like, all right, this is going to piss some people off, but it's true. All the stereotypes about writers drinking are absolutely 100% true. And I forget every time because I really don't drink that much on my own. And then I go to these conferences with my writer friends and try to keep up with them. And Jesus, it is such a mistake every time.
It's like the bar where all the lawyers go after. Isn't that like a thing? It seems like lawyers, like drinking and being a lawyer, also feel like, or maybe that's just on Law and Order.
I don't know. I only know, I think, one real life lawyer, and she drinks a good amount. I think anything like heavy like that, teachers drink a lot. I can say that as a former teacher.
I mean, honestly, like after COVID, everybody drinks a lot. Like,
yes. Who doesn't?
It's just, I feel like that brought out it brought out drinking in me, and I'm not even a drinker.
Yeah.
I am feeling a little stuffy.
I think your host body is leaking over to you.
No.
He gave you his allergies. Damn it.
I'll heal it. Maybe I'll drink some water instead.
The fun thing, by fun thing, I mean not fun thing about being sick when you're a mom is that you don't get like a real sick day. Like you still get to do all the same shit that you normally do. But now you have 101 fever. It's just, you have the extra added layer of delirium from your fever.
God.
And it's pretty awesome.
I am so sorry, Leslie.
Like, can you tell I need sympathy? Damn it.
Well, I am here to give it to you. I am so sorry that you decided to have children and
and decided to get sick.
I am just playing. You are doing God's work. That's what you're doing. Really. I know you don't believe in God, but if there was one, you'd be doing their work. You'd be doing her work.
That's right. That bitch needs to get to work. But I'll take up the slack in the meantime. Well, that is very fitting with today's little deep dive that we're doing. It's a good segue because I'm going to teach you all about the wonderful woman who was inspired this writers conference that I went to, Erma Bombeck. Now, have you heard of Erma Bombeck, Candi?
I heard she's the bomb.
Oh no.
I mean,
I knew that was coming.
I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
Right.
I know her name. Was she a novelist? What kind of writer was she?
Yeah, so she was a humor writer, and she started off, we'll get into it, but she did write books, but they were nonfiction humor books. And it was really based on these columns that she had in, I think she started out in Ohio, but then she got syndicated. So she was, you can kind of think of her in a way as like, sort of like the Joan Rivers of newspapers.
Oh,
really? Like
someone,
yeah, she was from that time period. So
and was she super sassy too?
Pretty sassy. I would say maybe not as sassy as Joan Rivers, but definitely someone who pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable for a woman to say. I think as a humor writer myself and a mom, she is definitely an inspiration to women like me. And we would not be able to say the things that we do and write the things that we do if she did not do it first. So it's been really cool getting to know more about her.
I want to know more. So what were her columns called? Would I know the columns? I know her name. It's just like all mixed up in the gobbledygook of my brain.
I know. Like, if you asked your mom, I bet you anything she would know who she is, because it was really more like our moms and grandmothers' generation. I remember seeing her in the newspaper, in the Times Record News in Wichita Falls. I remember seeing the column, and it was, what was it called? Hold on. Let me Google it real quick, because I have it, but it's buried in the research.
The mountains of research that Leslie has done for this show, it's amazing. She's constantly at the card catalog and just
I've got the microfiche.
she's
I'm
zooming
going through.
She's zooming through the microfiche.
It's called, her column was At Wit's End.
Yep, don't remember it.
No, I didn't either. I recognize the picture though. But anyway, we'll just dive on in if you're ready, Candi.
It's all new to me. I'm so excited.
No, I know. It's like a role reversal. So much of the drag history that you taught me about last time was new to me. So now I get to
now it's my
share
turn
this with you.
to
That's
be
right.
the idiot. As usual. No, and I'm just playing. You are not an idiot. And I'm proud of you for being like just open and willing to absorb and be like, yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Thank you. I mean, that's not easy. That's not easy.
That is not easy. No. And thank you. Well, now it's your turn. All right.
Bitch.
Oh, good.
I'm ready. I got my helmet on.
Good.
My knee pain.
Okay, so this is, most of the research that I got is from this book called Erma Bombeck, Writer and Humorist, Lynn Hutner Caldwell, and also from this website called ermabombeckcollection.com. And of course, our good friend Wikipedia. What would we do without her?
Fail. Miserably. Not do a podcast.
No, yeah. I'm going to send you in the chat some pictures of her childhood, because I just want you to get the...
Well, I'm loving this. This is an experience.
I know. I want you to get the multimedia experience of
she's kind of like a very tall Shirley Temple.
Exactly. Yes, we will come back to that. All right. So Erma Louise, I think it's Feist, Fiste. I don't think it would be Fist.
That looks like Fist to me. Maybe it's Feast. Maybe it's Fiste. Fisty.
Fiste.
She's a little fisty, so just stay back.
That's right. Watch out. She's feisty, fisty. She was born on February 21st, 1927 in Dayton, Ohio, which is not coincidentally where the conference was held and is always held. She lived with her parents and her half-sister, Thelma, who was, I think, 7 years older than her. She was part of a lower middle-class family, very hardworking. Dad was a crane operator for the city, and they didn't have a lot of money, but she doesn't really remember growing up feeling poor. There was kind of just enough to get by, to have decent clothes, some food, and most importantly, tap dancing lessons, which I think there's a picture in there of her tap dancing.
She's definitely tapping here.
She is tapping it up. And this was, right around the time of Shirley Temple. So I'm sure every little girl that age was heading to the tap dance studio.
That tap dance teacher was raking it in.
Oh, yeah. And she's like, no, you are not going to be the next Shirley Temple, but I will take your hard-earned money.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like any younger sibling, I think, Erma really idolized her older sister, Thelma. They tell stories about her waiting for her when she would go off to school, just sitting on the stoop waiting for her to get back. And Irma was so ready to get to school, sweet little innocent thing, who had not been yet, but she wanted to be like big sister. So she finally was able to convince her mom, who then convinced the principal to let her in early. Because at this time, this is what, 30, this would have been like 32 or something. So kids didn't go to school there until the age of 6, and she was only 5.
1932 in Ohio.
Right.
Not a lot of nightlife going on there. I'm just guessing.
No, not even for a 6-year-old or 5-year-old.
As a 6-year-old, I had to hit the streets. I
That's
love
right.
the nightlife. I need to boogie. I am a 5-year-old and I don't know, something. I need something.
Need
a
I was
nappy.
going to say, no, I was like, a passy? That's too young for that. Yeah. Well, anyway, she got to go to school, and she was so excited because she already had this strong love for books. So before she went off to school for the first time, she raced around the house getting every book that they had and packed them in her little backpack and took them to school with her. So sweet. So she loved school right away, and she learned how to read really easily. And she felt like that opened up this whole new world to her. They put it in the biography in these words, which I thought were interesting, that it opened up this world of adults in which she found herself, which I feel like that's so true. Kids are in this world of adults that may not make entirely,
any
all the sense
at all.
Right. And so now it was like she had a key to where some of it was starting to make more sense.
Okay.
So when she got home from school, she would run home, grab a book, and get to her little secret spot under the eaves where it was nice and cool. And she would just read and talk out all the parts like they were a play. And she was asking for books at Christmas. Like, this girl was all about reading and books and imagination already. Isn't that neat how, like, I feel like that's so true with so many creatives or just people that kind of follow what they're interested in, that it usually comes on pretty early like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that true with you, Candi? Were you singing and dressing up and stuff?
There are pictures of me, I think at age 3. Don't know where the wig came from, but girl, I got a wig on. Some kind of curly.
Really? At 3?
Kind of
How
curly
cute.
wig with like a hat on top of it. But and singing before I could even talk, really.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah. And just making noise. And here I am still making noise today. Unintelligible noise in a room by myself. No, I remember being in elementary school and reading the Oz books and that being like, I did really love reading from a young age. And I think also it's interesting what you were saying about her, not being able to make sense of the world of grown-ups and then finding this solace in books, because books do make sense. It all comes together, all the clues line up, it all wraps up in the end generally. And it's like in life, we're all just telling stories as it is in our minds,
Right.
And so I guess books give you maybe like a template for a way to make sense out of life.
Yeah. Yeah. That totally makes sense. Yeah. I'm just trying to picture as a child. I don't remember having that experience with books per se, but with pretend for sure. Like you're trying to work it all out.
Were you a big pretender?
Yeah, and performer. Imagine that. But yeah, like it talked about her reading out the parts of the book like it was a play. That, I mean, I think a lot of kids do that, if not most kids. That is totally
is like that's what you do.
That's what you do. Yeah.
It's what
That's
I
your
did.
way of
I was always the pretend director. Like I was always like the one who was like, okay, here's what we're doing. We're doing Haunted Mansion. You're the spider lady. Go over there. Hang on that. You go up here and this, and then I'm going to be this person. And here we go.
And who did you direct? Your cousins?
No, this was like when I was in elementary school. Like I'm thinking about at Episcopal school, like probably.
I'll tell you my background with Episcopal later.
Okay.
So you were just directing the other kids, basically.
Yeah, and then jumping in there, like I wanted to be in in the fun, but like I'm just a visionary, Leslie. Like I'm just really just like
ahead of your time. You just like how else do we explain it?
I'm like the Ben Franklin of elementary schools.
Now look, this is the second time you've mentioned Ben Franklin. The first time was before we started recording. Have you been watching 1776?
It's just because I'm blowing my nose into this washcloth and it makes me feel like Ben Franklin.
That would be the strangest drag get up ever.
Ooh, Ben Franklin drag. Can you imagine like where you have like a bald cap down the middle and then you have the long hair on the sides, but then you've got like full drag beat face and the little glasses? That's a look, honey.
And the boobs.
Yeah, huge.
You'd have to.
Huge cleavage coming out of the top of your like vest and your
three-piece suit.
Your briefcase. With the giant buckles on the shoes. Ooh, but they have to be high-heeled, buckled shoes.
Yes.
Like whack, whack, whack. And the boobs are jiggling. And then lightning strikes the kite and he does a death drop and the end.
Yeah, this is gonna work. We're doing a 1776 drag show. We're getting back to Erma.
Sorry, enough Ben Franklin.
Enough Ben Franklin. He needs to sit his ass down, and we're getting back to Erma. From a young age, she wanted to make up stories and write for the school newspaper. This is when she's in junior high, I believe. English very quickly became the only subject she cared about. Every other period in the school day was just another hour to get through. I can so relate to that.
Me too.
I loved English. I didn't always like the stuff we read because some of that stuff was really meaty and hard. But now I like it. But besides that, if I could write my way through something, shoot. So, but she was also ready, even at like 10, to get out of Dayton and go to bigger horizons, wider horizons. Dayton, I don't know if you realize, and I'm not sure back then, but it's fairly small. It's a little bit bigger than Wichita Falls. So,
yeesh.
Yeah, we know that. We know all about that.
GTFO, Erma.
She was ready. So I'm going to send you the next batch of pictures here so you can see growing up in Dayton.
Oh, here we go. She got some curl in them bangs.
Mm-hmm. She's got the little 40s, like late 40s bangs going on. And
she's cute.
Super cute. Very smiley. Okay, so at school, it's kind of ironic because she later became this humor writing icon, but she was very serious. She was kind of a bookworm. Definitely not a class clown, but at the same time, she was fascinated by humor. She loved reading the popular humorists of the time, like a bunch of people we don't know anymore, but Robert Benchley, James Thurber. I do know James Thurber.
I've heard of him.
And H. Allen Smith.
No idea
on that.
No.
But they were popular back then.
They were so funny.
They were those guys. It was like, Cat Williams.
Yeah, in their day, they were like the Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell of their generation.
So when she eventually got the chance to write for the school paper like she wanted to, she did a humor column. This is at Emerson Junior High. Apparently, Miss Erma got a little snarky with her humor columns, and she liked to poke fun at teachers and students, and she kind of got her first taste of the power of words. It says in her biography, the staff decided to let Erma's work go on in the newspaper, even though it was biting and sometimes even cruel.
Oh my goodness. Mean Girls.
Yeah, she kind of was, I think.
Mrs. Johnson's a fat bitch.
Right? And that whore Louise, showed her ankles to Millie. I don't know. But she kind of outgrew it, and she kept writing for the school paper in high school even, but it got a little more academic. She was more focused on like school news, social news, but she would still kind of get in little jabs where she could. She just, I think, learned how to disguise it a little more. We've all been there. I mean, as writers, it's like you kind of write something, and then I think especially at that age, she had to be junior high. She was probably like 13. So yeah, she didn't really realize. I mean, thank God she didn't have Twitter or any of that. She would have been canceled immediately. Anyway,
bully, Erma Bombeck.
I know.
Confirmed bully.
Yeah. So one day when she was 15, she decided to go down to the office of the local afternoon newspaper, because there were 2 papers still at that time, the morning and the afternoon. Now there's almost none at all.
Yeah, because I always need a second paper after I've read my morning paper. I'm like, I'm just about done with this one. Oh, and there is the afternoon paper.
Just in time.
Perfect.
But do you know that
would have been like checking your phone. Like you would just be like doing your stuff, and you have the paper close by, and you're like, oh, nothing's happening right now. I'm going to read a little bit more of this. And then, wow.
That's right. Like, what are your other sources of information? Because even then they didn't have the evening news yet. Like it was coming, but they would have had the radio, I guess. But have you heard though the story about Queen Elizabeth's dad? Was that George? I can't remember.
Queen Elizabeth's dad.
Yes. So I think it was King George. I want to say that. When he was about to pass away, and in England at the time, they also had morning and afternoon papers, but the afternoon papers there were seen as kind of trashy.
Okay.
And they did not want his death to be announced in the afternoon papers. So they gave him a dose of, what was it? I think it was like morphine and cocaine and something else. They basically euthanized him so that he would die sooner, so that his death could be announced in the morning papers, so that it would be respectable.
They put him down.
Yes.
So they could make the morning edition.
That's right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I hope someday to be important enough that they put me down to make sure to get it in tomorrow's paper.
So it'll trend on Twitter earlier in the day.
Candi, we love you, but this is gonna go viral if you die right now.
That's right.
Can we just get this show on the road? I'm like,
yeah,
hit it.
Do it.
I'll see you suckers later.
That's right.
Bye.
See ya. Anyway. And then it's trending everywhere.
That's right.
It's all about the timing with trending stuff. So she decided at 15 she wanted to write for the afternoon paper, even if it was trashy. You can't be choosy when you're 15 and a woman in 1940 something. So she just walked in and was like, I want to work for your paper. And the editor said, well, that's great, but we only have full-time positions available and you're still in school. And she says, this is a quote, that's okay. I can work 2 weeks and then I'll get you another girl to work for 2 weeks while I'm in school. And then when she's in school, I'll work. I think that was the way their school worked. And so she said,
you were like 2 weeks on 2 weeks off?
I think so. And so she's like, it'll be just like having a full-time person. And they hired her. So it worked.
Wow.
So she was a copy girl. she only got to write for them actually one time during high school. Most of the time she was just copy editing. But coming back full circle here, because the one time that she got to write for the paper was an interview with Shirley Temple, who had come to Dayton for the premiere of her latest movie, Since You Went Away. And
was Shirley Temple like her idol in a way? Or,
well,
I mean, she looked a
I don't
lot
know.
like her at that young age when she was tapping away.
I think she must have been, because it said they were both 16. So she gave a different sort of interview as one 16-year-old to another. You know, that would be very different than like
I want to
most
see
of the other
that
interviews
movie.
she's getting.
I want to see the movie about Shirley Temple and Erma Bombeck at 16 meeting on this occasion. And it's like, this is the path you took and this is the path I took. And here we are now.
Mm-hmm. But it was a big deal. So she got an award for a staff award for feature of the week. She got $10 and a spot on the staff bulletin board, which, you know, at 16 years old, when you're competing against these career journalists, that had to be a huge boost. So
$10.
I need to do the conversion. You can do those historical conversion things and see, you know, it was probably decent money.
She probably opened a bank account.
Mm-hmm. Right around that time.
$10.
$10. You're still stuck on the $10. I'm like, that is $20,000 in today's money.
Honey, even in today's money, like if I'm going through my tips from
you got
night,
a 10
and there's a tenner. I don't even think that's a thing. And there's a $10 bill in there. I'm happy. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Thank you, whoever you were. Thank you for crumpling this up and shoving it into my brassiere. Thank you.
Let that be a lesson to you if you're at Candi shows. People in Honolulu who are listening. Crumple, she loves 10s. She loves 50s more, but she'll take a 10 in a pinch.
And if you give me $100 bill, I'll what will I do for $100?
We can't talk about it.
Okay, we'll leave that to chance. We'll leave that to the moment of impact.
That's right. Yes. It's a surprise.
Hey, I just want to warn you, Leslie, that I am a drag queen. No, I want to warn you that someone is going to drop off a wig here in a minute. But it's just going to take a second. I just want to let you know that might happen.
It's the oldest excuse in the book. I mean, I've got someone dropping off a wig for me too. I made her wheeze.
Oh my God.
I made her wheeze with laughter.
Yeah, well, laughter and also asthma, but yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. All right. We will make
I've got a wig coming in too, so
like
sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to Bombeck.
Back to Bombeck. So she is still Erma Feist. I'm going with Feist at this point, but she meets Bill Bombeck at the paper, who worked for the morning paper, the Dayton Journal, and he was a copy boy. So she's a copy girl, he's a copy boy. The sparks were flying, but pretty much only on her side.
Oh.
She thought he was gorgeous. He couldn't really write, but she didn't care. And she just eyed him for 2 or 3 years, even before she could even do anything about it. But then after they'd only been on a couple dates, he left for Korea. This was I guess late 40s by then. So he was in the army and headed out. So nothing could happen for now.
And okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
And what was his name?
Bill Bombeck. This is her future husband.
Oh, sorry. I just ruined it.
I thought I had said it. I'm glad you said that because it wasn't.
I mean, I figured it was going there, but I wasn't sure. It's just following the story.
Yes,
trying to follow the
dramatic
story.
tension.
It's difficult for me.
All right, so excuse me. Hang on.
Yeah, definitely keep that in the edit. We get it.
Keep it in.
Let them know.
All right.
It's real.
So she finally graduates from high school in 1944, and she starts saving up so she can go to college. She had 2 full-time jobs. Let me see. Hang on. This may not be very interesting, so we may just need to skip it.
Okay. Just give it to me in your own words. Just give it to me in your Leslie speak.
She was just working her butt off.
All of her butts.
All of her butts, because she had 2 full-time jobs.
So wait, what were the 2 full-time jobs?
It doesn't say, but it just said that she finally turned it into 1 full-time job as a writer for the same paper, because by now the morning and the afternoon papers had merged. And
how old is she now?
I'm guessing 18 or so, because she just graduated from high school.
That's insane.
So she's a full-time writer at the paper, and she didn't have to, it was a relief in one way because she didn't have to do all this menial labor she'd been doing before, but she really just spent most of her time writing obituaries, which, unfortunately, I think was probably pretty common for a woman of any age, but especially a young, recent high school graduate. They weren't getting to write Pulitzer Prize material here.
No, but an obituary can be an opportunity to get your personal flair out there. Just add a little fun to whatever they're.
Start making up rumors about the King of England getting euthanized make the morning edition, and then you will get your spot. But no, wait, she did not do that.
Okay,
she would never do that.
Okay, good. I was like, wait a minute, what?
No. Okay, so she finally saves up enough and is able to go get out of Dayton and go to Ohio University in Athens, so about 2 hours from home. And she was all ready and excited for college because she'd been a good student previously, but it was kind of a disaster. So she'd been told all this time she could write. She has a job as a writer. She's been on all these school. Ooh,
I think
is that your wig?
My wig might be here. Hang on.
All right, let's pause for the wig.
Sorry. Oh, for God's sake.
Oh my God, it's huge. Ooh, it's like cotton candy. Wow. Amazing.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. God, this is weird.
Candy, are you okay?
I'm fine. It's the coffee. It's the oat milk, I think.
Oh, that's why you need to just go with cows. Cows don't make you burp.
No, they don't make me burp. But they can make other things happen.
Oh, all right.
Okay. We'll leave it alone.
We'll leave it at that.
The jelly beans become, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So Erma goes to college. So she was ready for this, right? She'd saved up all this time. She's ready to get out of Dayton. But it ended up being kind of a disaster. So she had been told all this time that she could write. She had a job as a writer, not only at her school papers, but with the Dayton paper. But when she got to college at Ohio University, she barely passed her first semester of freshman composition. And she was trying to write for the school paper there. She kept getting rejected. And she really kind of had this moment of like, what am I going to do with my life? This is all that I've wanted to do. And now I'm being told that I'm not good enough. So like, what's going to happen here? I can so relate to that. I feel like it's that moment where the big fish in a little pond goes then to a bigger pond and starts seeing the other big fish and how they stack up. And
yeah,
that can be a really rude awakening.
Yeah, definitely. It can be really scary. Like, yeah, moving to New York, definitely did that for me, where it was just like, wow, there is this whole nother world out here. But I think it was also it pushed me to just really pursue me, because there was so much of everything there that it was like, well, I can't try to be better at being whatever these other people are. I've just got to try to be me.
Yeah. Totally. Because you do, like, you have your own unique spin no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah. I think it is important though that the push, because if it's a lot easier to stay in that small pond and just enjoy all of the praise and everything, but
Absolutely.
it's going to limit how much you can grow as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
But for artists out there, so many artists are, I think, like fixated on being original. You know, they want to do something original. They want to do something, and if I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard if you are the origin, then it will be original.
Right. Because even if you're doing a takeoff of someone else, it's going to be your takeoff
Right.
of whatever it is. Okay. So Irma, kind of went back to Dayton and just decided to go to college there instead at the University of Dayton, which is where the conference is held now. It's a small 4-year Catholic college, and she started taking off. So, and she also finally started getting praise again for her writing. And this was kind of one of the pivotal moments of her life that they still talk about today at the conference. So one of her professors, Brother Tom Price, had read some articles that she'd written and asked her to write something for the university magazine, The Exponent. So she did, and he asked her to put a little bit of humor into it. And she was kind of nervous because, as she said, no one wanted to write humor at that time. This is a quote from her. It was tricky, for one thing, to make fun of someone or something takes a pretty thick skin. And I'm wondering if that's her junior high experience talking there. Like she
Right.
had tried
She's like,
writing humor before.
yeah, I got burned. I got
Right.
burned by this before.
But she's nervous, but she started injecting it in there a little bit more. And one day after reading one of her articles, Brother Tom Price called her in and he just told her 3 words: "You can write." And she would bring that up in interviews for years to come, saying that that was the turning point.
Yeah, it sounds
Just
pretty
hearing that encouragement.
pivotal.
She said, here's a man who reads Jane Eyre, who knows all these things, this very learned man. He knows what he's talking about. And I believed him. You need someone whom you respect to tell you something like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my
right?
God.
Especially a teacher. I think it means so much coming from a teacher, from, just like she said, someone who knows, who's studied that, who knows what they're saying. It's not just an offhanded comment. It's something that means something. All right. So she finally graduates in 1949 and we move into 50s housewife period. So I'm going to send you.
Oh my gosh. She's got 3 kids.
Yes, right. So hang on, we'll get there.
Oh, sorry.
So I know I sent it to you prematurely, but she, after graduating, she gets back into the newspaper business, goes back to the Dayton Journal Herald where she was before, and she's assigned, of course, to the women's section. And everyone knew back then that women's departments were kind of a joke. I mean, you can imagine the types of stuff that they're writing about.
Right.
And it was not even interesting to the women, I think. Like, it was sort of like a man's idea of what would be interesting to women and what women were fit to write about. So she, of course, thought it was unfair and she was bored, but she just thought, kind of like you said earlier, that if she just gave her best to every assignment, she was going to eventually work her way up. Even if her work life was a little bit negative right now, her love life started picking up because now Bill Bombeck, copy boy from earlier, is back from Korea. And the two had been corresponding all this time. So when he came back to Dayton, they started dating. And then at age 22, both of them were 22, they got married.
That's so sweet.
Super sweet. Super young, but not at all
young
strange for the time. Young for us, but totally typical for the time. Going into this new life as a 50s housewife, she kind of started learning this whole new world that she'd never had to deal with before. So she's learning about housework and
Yeah, I
having
had
to
to
take
learn
care of a
about that.
husband.
I hate it.
It's not a fun thing to learn about, and just kind of how the absurdity of all of it. And this is also at a time when American women were dealing with this shift after World War II, and all the men came home, and the women had been at work for the first time outside the home, and now the men were back, and they were the women were stuck wondering, well, what do we do now? They'd sort of gotten a taste of this wider world and weren't really ready to just go back home. A few years later, they adopted their first child. The doctors told Erma that she wasn't able to have kids, so they adopted a baby named Betsy. And she left her career. Irma left her career at the newspaper, which was totally
devastating,
a given.
I'm sure. But yeah.
I'm sure it was, yeah, it had to have been devastating, but I don't think she even thought twice about it.
Right.
So now we get into the bread and butter of what would become her writing, the demands of motherhood, because it really struck her. She got a little bit of taste when she became a housewife of like the demands of domesticity and cooking and cleaning and all that, but then it just got blown up, I think, once she became a mother. It said she realized there weren't enough hours in the day. She never had time for herself. She was lonely. And the other thing is that no one was talking about that in public. It was not acceptable to say, this is hard. My kids annoy me.
Right.
My husband didn't like the food I fixed him. I burnt a roast and we didn't have the money to go get anything else. You know, this is just all completely kept under wraps. And so she just ended up thinking she wasn't doing a good job and everyone else was handling their shit and she wasn't. I feel like that is so typical of that time period. And something that has changed for the better is that there are more people willing to talk about just how hard it is to be a
Definitely.
parent. But I think it was because of people like her, which we'll get more into later. But I definitely was not prepared for that, becoming a mom. And I had my twins first. And so just bam, all of a sudden having these two babies to take care of. And even though we wanted them and planned for them and couldn't wait to have them, it was just like, I mentioned this on our first episode. It was like realizing all of a sudden that you're going to be the one driving the ship and just being so isolated. We don't have that village as much as in, you know, previous times where you would have your mom and your grandmother and your aunts and cousins kind of all together to pitch in and look after, you know, everyone kind of
and give you guidance
collectively
and tell you their stories and how they got through it.
Right. Everyone is pretty much on their own and it's incredibly isolating and depressing. And now I feel like the internet has helped with that a lot because women can find these, you know, subgroups and stuff online and meetups and things. But yeah, it's still really hard. And I can't even imagine not being able to talk about it, how much harder that would have been.
Right. To have to just pretend like everything's okay, even maybe to your parents and in-laws, you know.
Yeah. And because if not, it's like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And, oh, the shame. That would be really hard. Okay, so to deal with all this, she just kind of started going hardcore 50s housewife, doing the typical things like crocheting Santa Claus doorknob covers and putting
Perfect.
contact paper on everything and making miniature roses for dinner out of zucchini, all that crap. But not surprisingly, it did not help. About a year after Betsy was born, Irma still did not have plans to go back to newspaper work, but she was given the opportunity to edit Dayton shopping news. And so it was pretty much a little paper with a lot of ads, but she decided to jump at it. She was ready, I think, to get an outlet. And they gave her a personal column. So she was back in it almost as soon as she left. And then lo and behold, After having been told she wasn't going to be able to have kids, she had 2 more. So she had, in 1955, a little boy, Andrew, and then 3 years later, Matthew. So now here she is with 3 kids.
Wait, let me look at. Did I get a good look at what Mr. Bombeck looks like?
Oh, let me see.
I mean,
let me see if there's one in the.
They both look like they have very healthy skin. They just get that, like, it's just like nothing but Dove soap. Dove? Is that what? Ivory soap, probably. Ivory soap and water. That's all you had. And whole milk. And
that's right.
What else?
Lots of cigarettes.
Lots of alcohol. Just, really.
I'm sending you a Google of him.
Oh my Lord, this link is so long.
I know.
What age
he
is
aged
this?
well.
Yeah, he's kind of got like around, I'm guessing he's probably like 50s in this picture. Like in the link that you sent, like it's the second picture that's black and white.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, ooh, hi. Hi, Mr. White-haired professor man. I just want to know
let me see Bill. Forget Erma.
Well, I want to know what inspired her to jump back on that dick and have more kids.
I mean, but if you're told you can't have any more, you're probably not that worried about being careful.
And you're jumping on that dick all the day long.
And plus, they were Catholic.
What does that mean?
So,
does that mean
that they might
birth control?
They probably didn't use birth control.
Oh, okay.
If you scroll down a little bit on that one, you can see
I see them all together.
He looks cute in that.
Yeah, he looks cute.
No, not so. You like the older one.
He's fine. He's fine. We all go through different. That's actually encouraging. Is that like at one age you could be one person's type, and at another age you could be someone else's type. And
you're still thinking about King Triton. I know you are.
I wasn't, but now I absolutely am. Ooh, King Triton, just working out at the gym, so built, but he can't get to the next weight machine because he's got no legs. So you got to help him.
Oh, every day is arm day. That's why.
Yeah,
that's why.
Arms
he can't
and
work out his tail,
and pecs and back. That's all.
Yeah,
no leg day.
What kind of gym do they have under the sea? Sebastian did not sing about that.
Yeah, I wonder.
You just like get 2 unwilling dolphins.
You got to lift some
strap them
big rocks for it to like make that big a difference, right? Because everything,
especially underwater,
everything's so light underwater.
I think he was coming up to the surface and going to Gold's gym.
No,
working out.
He was going to that LA gym on the beach, like at Muscle Beach in Venice Beach. He was flopping up on the shore there. And pumping some iron.
And he's such a hypocrite because then he told Ariel she couldn't go up and get any action. What a dick.
Well, he knew. I mean, because there's a lot of shady shit going on at Muscle Beach. I mean, I think. I'm just guessing.
He just wanted it all to himself.
Well, he's just like, he didn't want her to know that he was doing gay sex at Venice Beach.
I knew we were going to get there eventually. First, it was Ursula. Then when you found out that wasn't true.
Okay, sorry. Letting it go. Back to Erma.
All right, back to Erma. This is kind of funny. They, a few years later, moved to Centerville, Ohio, and they lived right across the street from Phil Donahue, which our young people listening probably are like, who the hell is Phil Donahue? But he was a huge talk show host back in the day. He
predated Oprah, and Oprah kind of created her show like in the image of Donahue in a way.
Didn't they work together at one point?
There was something there. There was some
there's some connection. So when they went to Centerville, for the first time, Erma met other women who were actually voicing how frustrating life was as a 50s housewife and mother. And she started getting more confidence and realizing it's not just me. There's other women like me that are also struggling.
Right.
There's a little jump here and I'm guessing it's just because she's raising her kids, because it's not until 1964, so 9 years later, that she goes to the editor of a local paper and said she wants to do a column for him. And the editor said, okay, fine. And somehow it worked out.
I want to get a job like that.
Right? It's like, okay. No, I think she was very charming, and he fell for her charms and gave her $3 a week. What? How much would that be now in 1964?
No idea.
Cannot be much, but she's just doing a column.
Yeah.
And I think pretty much writing on what she wants.
Yeah.
And this is where she really starts becoming Erma as she became famous for, of just, there's this quote that she always would say, hook them with the lead, hold them with laughter, exit with a quip they won't forget. So just very tight, well-crafted humor, talking about the ridiculousness of everyday life. And so she's just pounding out these columns in this little cramped bedroom with her typewriter on a plank between a couple of cinder blocks. Yeah, I love that too. I just picture her hiding from her kids, or while they're at school, just going and typing out these things. Man, that's a whole other level of challenge, having to do it on a typewriter.
I know.
Not being able to correct mistakes as easily.
No.
Wow. So this column was going on for a while when another editor saw this work. Oh, no, not just another editor. The editor of the Dayton Journal-Herald saw her work and offered her $50 a week to do 2 columns if she would just come back to Dayton.
Yes.
And so she said yes. They packed everybody up, went on back. I love it. The woman getting to decide.
Yeah, what was he doing?
I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. But whatever it was, I think he was a teacher, come to think of it. And so, you can teach anywhere.
You can teach anywhere.
That's right. So that's what she did. And not too long after that, they started syndicating her column nationally. Now, do you think people know what syndication is anymore?
Yeah, I don't think we should assume they're idiots, but
just a newspaper.
Actually, do I even know what syndication means? It just means that you get picked up nationally, right? Is that it?
Right. Yeah. So depending on how, I think at the time, 38 different newspapers were buying her columns and just reproducing them in their newspapers.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's like
that's where
comics, like all the comics are syndicated.
Exactly. So, and then just 5 years later at Wits End, her column was appearing in 500 papers nationwide. So it just took off. And then after that, it became international. So it was just wild. And really, it was because she was finally saying, like we've been talking about, everything that women were thinking and weren't able to say, weren't able to express. And she was also showing the humor along with the struggle and helping women who were in all sorts of situations find a bright spot in all of it and laugh a little bit. So she starts picking up speaking gigs. All these people want her to come and lecture in their cities. There's all these thousands of women showing up, and she's just charming everyone. And she loved it, but it was also hard on her because she's having to be away from her family the whole time. And she's still got these 3 young kids. So she stopped speaking after a while, but she was definitely
stop speaking publicly, not just stop speaking altogether.
Yeah.
Okay,
she
good.
Got off the speaker circuit. She didn't take a vow of silence.
Stopped talking forever. She only
That's
spoke
right.
through her typewriter.
Yes, it was very an odd time for everyone, but they humored her. So she's getting her column is everywhere, right? All these newspapers have picked her up. She's been speaking in all these places. And finally, a
Thank
publishing company, Doubleday, they suggested that she publish a compilation of her columns into her first book, which makes sense because, of course, back then you couldn't just Google the latest Irma column if you missed it.
Exactly.
If you hadn't cut it out and put it on your fridge, which I'm sure lots of people did, then that was it.
I think I remember my granny having maybe some things like that on the fridge.
Oh, totally. Yeah, she was like a staple for the being on the fridge for sure. So Irma thought, like many first-time authors, that once you get published, that's it, right? Like you're rich and famous and it all takes off. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. It wasn't the case then. It is definitely not the case now. So the book did okay, but it was about what you would expect for a first-time author. This is 1967 by now. But she was just, I think, didn't quite have the name yet. But one of the sales representatives from the publishing company was touring the bookstores like in his territory and kind of asking the bookstore owners, what's your big hit? What's like the most requested book at your store? And they were all telling him it was Irma's book and that they needed more copies because the publishing company had not given him enough. So he went back to tell the publishing company, Doubleday, about this, and they just ignored him. They were like, no,
What?
they just did not provide the copies that these stores needed.
That is so weird.
Right? I was telling my husband about that last night after I was doing my research, and he was like, that makes no sense. Like, it's their money that they're losing. Like, they would be getting money for selling these copies. Why do you think they did that? And I can't help but think that it must partly have been because she was a woman. I think that maybe they didn't trust that these little housewives reading these articles and getting a kick out of them. Exactly. Like that maybe, they might need 10 more copies at those bookstores, but we're not going to send them we're not going to go back and print more just for a few extra copies. I don't think that they just had faith in just how big this audience was. And so they just ignored it. But the joke was on them because that same sales representative left Doubleday after a while and became her new agent. And
what?
He had complete faith in her. And a few years later, he kind of wooed her over and became her agent. And
so did she stay with Doubleday?
I don't think so. Let's see. Well, because she just published her first book with them.
Okay.
So she wasn't, I don't think she had signed a deal to write more books with them.
Double don't.
Mm-hmm. Double don't, Doubleday. You missed your chance with Irma.
Double douche.
Slip me over.
Double,
oh my God.
Double don't be a double douche. Doubleday. Don't be.
Oh no. All right. So at this point, Irma starts getting into a pattern of turning out these newspaper columns. I think she was doing 2 or 3 a week at this point for her syndicated column and then cranking out books. So I think she had 4 out by this point. This is like 1969. She got asked by Good Housekeeping to do a monthly column. She's in Reader's Digest, Family Circle, Red Book, like all the big ones.
She is famous.
Yeah, she even has one in Teen Magazine. I don't know what the heck she wrote about in Teen, but
she's like the Lady Gaga of writing.
Right. She's everywhere. And so her second book, Just Wait Till You Have Children of Your Own, was actually co-authored by Bill Keane, the one who did the Family Circus cartoons.
Aw.
Remember those? I remember reading
love
those comics.
those. They were so sweet.
Completely sweet.
Were you a comic reader?
Yes.
What did you like?
I liked Garfield, and I liked Blondie.
Oh, I like Blondie too. And
I bet you did. With Dagwood. I never understood why she was with Dagwood, though. I would watch it I would look at it just
Oh, I did.
kind of mystified.
I understood.
Really?
Why. Yeah. He was like kind of a mess, but like cute and clearly devoted to her. Yeah.
I have to go back and look at a picture of him.
I would have hit it.
His hair drove me crazy.
I love it. I don't know. I'm just remembering. I don't even know what he looks like either. Now I'm going to look him up. Dagwood.
Here he is with the big sandwich. I remember that.
A Dagwood sandwich is a thing. I think that's a different thing. Dagwood.
No. That was like one of his things, that he wanted to make big sandwiches all the time. Or no. He would have her make big sandwiches.
Yeah, something really weird is happening with his hair for sure. There's
right.
It's sort of like he has like dog ears coming up off of his head. It's just the hair that wouldn't lay down. Everything else is pomaded and shellacked to his head, but it's just two cowlicks shooting off the sides.
And I was like, she's so cute. I don't understand. Anyway.
I liked Calvin and Hobbes. Did you ever read that?
Oh, yes. How could I forget? Yes.
So good. Anyway.
So good.
Anyway.
And the other one with that group was Kathy.
Oh, yeah.
And so Kathy Guyswhite, who wrote that, was at the Erma conference this past weekend that I went to. She was one of the keynotes. Yeah, it was really cool. More books. 1974 book is I Lost Everything in the Postnatal Depression. I mean, some of these jokes are a little dated, but at the time, it was like...
Honey, Erma was
exciting.
On it. Books.
That's
books,
right.
Books. Tours.
Books.
Speaking. Books.
Yeah. She's still going. She's lecturing.
So I'm guessing she just stuck with the 3 kids. No more kids after that, right?
Yeah, that was it. At one point, she does a tour in Arizona, and she's in Phoenix, and she loved it. She loved the desert landscape, and so she moved the whole family out there to Arizona. Again, she's like, guess who's wearing the pants, kids? It's me, and we're all moving to Arizona.
I doubt they had to guess.
No, I don't think
I
they
think
did
they
either.
probably knew at that point.
They're like, we know, Mom, let's go. That is the bulk of her life. But I do want to mention that she also got involved in politics a little bit. She was not really a political person, but in the late 70s, she was appointed to this thing called the President's National Advisory Committee for Women. This had been started by FDR, basically wanting input from women about all different aspects of life, like political, religious, I don't know, kind of wanting to know what women thought about all this. And out of that came her advocacy for the Equal Rights Amendment, because in 1972, Congress had approved in 1972, Congress had approved a constitutional amendment guaranteeing equal rights for women, but it had to be ratified by 3/4 of the states within 7 years before it could become law. So
it had to be ratified by 3/4 of the states.
Yes.
Before it could become law. Okay. Sorry.
That's right.
Sometimes words, I just have to like slow them down so they make sense to me.
I know. Yeah. So everyone was a little surprised when Erma Bombeck, who was kind of the voice of the American housewife, came out in strong support of the ERA. It's like, well, I think because this was with really first wave feminism, or I guess, would this be second wave by then? where it was like, if you're in the home, you're not fighting for equal rights.
Right.
But she never really saw the conflict. She was really more progressive than that. She has more of the attitude that we have now, where it's like the equality comes in, that you get to choose with what works for you and your family. So she campaigned hard for this and went all over the country trying to get states to ratify it.
What it kind of reminds me of is Julia Child a little bit. Like
that's true.
Did you watch that most recent thing that it was like an HBO series called Julia?
I didn't. No, I heard it was good.
So good, but just when you were telling that last part, it was reminding me of that, because she also, had found this way to channel all these different things that she liked to do,
right,
into something captivating in a career, like, and then feminists were kind of like down on her, or kind of assumed that she was on the right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
because she was cooking.
Exactly. And it was a conflict for her, because she definitely wanted equality for women. She was busting down boundaries, being a success in television.
Right. But because it was for cooking, typically, and it's funny though, because then the irony of that is she was the only woman in these places where she studied to become a chef. Because at that level, cooking no longer is seen as women's work. Like once you start making a lot of money for it.
And she was teaching very skilled, very like high-end French cooking. French cuisine. French. Ooh la la, bon Montessori boulangerie. And
did you say Montessori? Because that's Italian. I'm going to call you out right there on that.
You said boulangerie.
No, before that.
Patisserie. Mon frère. Excuse me. Comment allez-vous? Excuse me. Just a little Miss Piggy taking me over. She injected a lot of French into her
she did.
Her daily life. Moi? Okay, yes. So sorry.
No problem.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about the ERA.
Oh, right,
the Equal Rights Amendment. So she went to almost every state trying to get states to ratify this thing. And in the meantime, P.S., in 1978, the paperback rights to one of her books sells for $1 million.
Whoa.
No biggie. Yeah.
And what year was that?
78.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. This other book of hers, Aunt Irma's Coat book, had a near record advance printing of 700,000 hardcover copies, and her column had now spread to 900 newspapers, and millions of people recognized her. So basically, when she started going around and campaigning, women were listening to her because they knew her through these columns, and they knew if she was behind this amendment, there was probably a good reason why. So she picked up a lot of support from women who may not have been on that side politically, who would not have called themselves feminists, but knew that if Erma was behind this, there was probably something to it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, as we know. Time ran out and the ERA failed. Still has not ever come back around. And that was, she called that one of her biggest disappointments of her life. So moving on, she did a stint on Good Morning America.
As a host?
She was a contributor. So they were creating it from scratch in response to the Today Show, because the Today Show had been on since 1952, and critics thought it was kind of growing stale and predictable and dull, but there was nothing to challenge it. And so other producers were looking to fill in that gap and maybe pull off from some of their audience. So they put together the Good Morning America for ABC, and she thought they were crazy when they asked her to join, but she ended up doing it. So the producer asked her to do 2 or 3 minute humorous bits, and she could film parts of it in Phoenix where she lived so she wouldn't have to travel so much. So she did it, and it hit the air in 1975, and it's still on.
Hit the
She
air.
was on there for Hit the air. So she was 11 years on there and got to interview people like Zsa Zsa Gabor and Phyllis Diller.
Yes.
She interviewed Zsa Zsa in a king-size bed.
Oh.
I don't know why.
I mean, I can think of a couple reasons.
I can just see Zsa Zsa being like, I don't want to get out of bed, darling. Just
Darling,
get in,
I was thinking we just have the interview in, well, I don't know why I'm giving a German accent. What was her
Hungarian.
accent? Hungarian. What is that like? We are having it in my bedroom. I think it is still German.
Yeah, it's a little too harsh.
You will lie in the bed and do the interview, bitch.
No.
That's Zsa Zsa. That's Zsa Zsa off camera. That's the Zsa Zsa that.
It was.
That only Erma knew.
Yes.
Okay, looks like we're doing the interview in the bed. Okay, everyone move the cameras over
and
here.
This is happening. I'm going to have to YouTube that because I bet that's hilarious. Yeah, so after 11 years, she was just tired of the travel and decided to quit. Even though she loved it, she loved the team, she loved all of it, but it was just too much. She's got, her husband and 3 kids, and she's still doing her dang column and putting out all these books.
She's doing all of the writing stuff still while doing Good Morning America on the daily?
Yes.
Wow.
Crazy. Taking off. So, right after that, someone approached her about adapting one of her books called The Grass is Always Greener Over the Septic Tank. They wanted to turn it into a television movie starring Carol Burnett.
That sounds very familiar, that one.
We might have seen that. Well, it was 78. Maybe we saw a rerun or something. So it came out. They did it. It starred Carol Burnett and Charles Grodin, and the critics hated it. It was like a huge flop. But even though it was such a flop, they still ended up pitching it to Marcy Carsey. It doesn't matter. They ended up. I'm like, I'm getting tired. It doesn't matter.
The Marcy Carsey case. It doesn't fucking matter. Just go on.
I recognize the names because they were the people who produced the Cosby Show. They were these names that you would see at the credits. I know the names. But anyway.
Cosby, I don't know.
To those people, and so they turned it into a sitcom. So now she had to learn about like how to write a script.
That's fun.
TV. And so she did all that. It kind of reminded me of Roseanne, honestly, because they wanted it to be like a down-to-earth, normal family. She was very insistent that the main character, the mom, not be, in the latest fashion and kind of unrealistic.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Dick Van Dyke and stuff. They wanted it to be down home.
And was the name the grass is greener over the septic tank?
They called it Maggie.
Oh.
Because I guess the matriarch was Maggie, and it was just family life, and it was totally adapted from her own life.
I mean, I guess the septic tank title is kind of long. I mean, they could have just called it Septic Tank.
And I was just going to say, I don't think you want Septic Tank in a TV title.
I would watch it. I would watch Septic Tank.
Nowadays, I mean, I think everyone would.
Now it would be a very provocative title.
In 78, it'd be like...
Septic Tank. Let's look at it. Is there a preview?
So this is nuts, Candi. Listen to this. While she's doing this show, and she eventually becomes a producer for it as well. She rented an apartment in LA. So remember, her family's in Phoenix. She would wake up at 5 a.m., write her column before getting into her rent car, driving to Studio City, work on the scripts, oversee the run-throughs, dress rehearsals, edit till 9, go to sleep, get up, do it all again. Then on Fridays, she would go fly back out to Phoenix to be with her family and then come back out on Monday mornings again.
Damn it to hell.
Insane. But I think it was also like she'd been waiting for this.
Only
maybe not this.
Only a mommy on the weekends?
Pretty much.
I bet I know a few ladies out there who could be down.
Who would do that?
Who could be down for that lifestyle.
I'm not saying.
Maybe not permanently, but just like maybe for a bit. For like, like it's kind of like your teacher's summer, like when you're a teacher, you get summers off. So like maybe we switch to only mommy on the weekends.
It's like when I'm doing a show, when I'm doing a musical or whatever, it's not quite like that, obviously, but it is very intense. But it's for a few months and then it's over. And then
exactly
I come back and I think if you have a supportive partner, it can totally work. I don't know how the hell you do it without that.
No. Well, I think you'd have to have friends. You have to have close friends.
Or a lot of money to hire nannies.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So it didn't do great, like it hung on for 8 weeks, this show, but after a while it just kind of fizzled out. But I think she was kind of secretly glad because she said there's no way she could have kept up that crazy schedule any longer.
No, that's nuts.
From there, we're kind of coming to the end here. She just kind of got back to writing after that. She had gathered all this experience and great contacts with her time on Good Morning America and with the TV show with Maggie. But she just kind of got back to sticking with her column and writing books. And she was approached to meet these children in a cancer treatment center in Arizona where she lived. And she was initially nervous because they wanted her to write something about them. And she was like, what am I going to write about? Not only cancer, but children with cancer. There's nothing funny about that. And I do humor. So she was hesitant, but then she went and met them at this place called Camp Sunrise. And she started talking to the campers and discovering, of course, that they were normal kids and they weren't full of self-pity. They just wanted to be treated like anyone else. And they played practical jokes on each other and were inappropriate and talking about life. And I think it kind of took the pressure off a little bit. And she understood that they didn't want to be held, in this like fragile state of mind that people would treat them with. They wanted to be treated like normal kids.
Yeah.
So from that came this book that she wrote called I Want to Grow Hair, I Want to Grow Up, and I Want to Go to Boise. And the title came from these 3 wishes that this child that she talked to had. Those were his 3 wishes.
Aww.
I know. And it was a huge hit. Yeah, I love that because you and I have talked about that before of art as medicine and laughter as medicine.
Right.
And I think that is just such a clear example of it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Totally beautiful. That is pretty much how her life continued until the end when she herself, did she have cancer? I have to Google that. I know she had a kidney transplant.
I mean, we could just skip the end.
I know, right? Yeah, she had kidney disease. Anyway, so she finally passed away in 1996 after having a kidney transplant.
She finally passed away.
Oh my God, I'll do that again. Oh, that's so bad. This is why it's good to have a co-host.
She finally passed away in like 96.
No, I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking of all this stuff she's done. And anyway.
Yeah.
Erma passed away in 1996 after having a kidney transplant. And Phil Donahue, again, gave her eulogy saying, We shall never see the likes of her again. She was real, and she brought us down to earth, gently, generously, and with brilliant humor.
Aww.
Which I love. I mean, what a way to go out. What a way to be remembered as
I always liked
making
Bill
life a little bit
Donahue.
lighter. Right? Yeah.
Like a good guy.
Totally.
Also,
And so,
mildly
go ahead.
turned on by him, and all like journalist men with white hair. Anderson Cooper, him, King
I'm
Triton.
sensing a pattern here, except for King Triton was not a journalist.
Oh,
Candi.
no. In college, he was a college journalist. Okay, hang on just 1 second. I've got to. I just have to tinkle real quick.
Okay.
And I might squeeze out one jelly bean. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I apologize. That was the longest tinkle of my life, but wow.
But it must have been very satisfying.
What a ride. What a rush.
Love it. Take every exciting moment where you can.
Climb every mountain, pin a stream. Yeah. Hi.
All right. Hi. Okay, we're almost there, Candi. Hold on.
Whee!
You've been So, the coolest thing happened. The coolest thing is still happening now to pay tribute to Erma is this workshop that still is going on. So that the first one happened in 2000, and it was supposed to be just a one-time thing put on by her family at the University of Dayton, where she graduated from.
But a conference for writers specifically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And they had some of her famous friends like Bill Keane from Family Circus, an ERA advocate, Liz Carpenter, and some others to headline it. But it just got so popular that they decided to have it every other year. So it still happens, and they've had Dave Barry, Garrison Keillor, Phil Donahue, Nancy Cartwright from The Simpsons, all these big names that come and give these wonderful keynotes. And their slogan is "You Can Write."
Aww.
I have the "You Can Write" bookmark that I keep by my desk.
One.
I know, you gotta come.
One.
You have to come to Erma next time when they have it, and they'll give you one.
Can I
That's
come as
wonderful.
Candi?
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Drag queens in real world places, like sometimes people aren't very happy about it. Especially if you're like kind of drawing focus, like if you're going to see like a performance and you're in the audience, but people in the audience with you can't stop turning to look at you.
That's true.
That could be
I mean, as a
problematic.
performer, I'd be a little bit salty about that, I think. But if you're just coming to mingle, all I know is I gave out lots of our cards.
Good.
And everyone was very happy to see you in that capacity, at least.
I don't know.
Where it didn't draw focus.
Maybe at a writer's conference, I might go over pretty well at a writer's conference. It's definitely like, just something fun to like.
Yeah.
You can
and
write
it's a
about
humor
things.
writer conference.
Exactly.
Like most people there are humor writers. So yeah.
I'm coming.
So
I'm coming to the next one.
Good. Yeah. Anyone out there, if you're an aspiring writer, I've been to quite a few conferences since I started doing this more seriously, and it is the most supportive, fun atmosphere ever. Everyone is just on everyone's side, and they have these awesome names of people giving the keynotes, and then they just come and hang out at the conference. You can just go up and talk to them. Like I met Lorraine Newman this last time. She was an original SNL cast member. Alan Zweibel, who was original SNL writer, and like they're just at the hotel bar having a drink afterwards. It's really, really cool. So highly recommend it. That is your thing.
Awesome. Well, yeah. SNL is definitely my thing. And I do like to write. I do.
Well, that is your history lesson of someone from my world, someone who inspired my work. So thank you for
writer world.
That's right.
I love your world. I want to be part of your world.
You are part of my world. You are. No.
When you were talking about Irma's her 50s housewife life,
yeah,
I kept hearing not part of your world, but the other song that is basically part of your world. Do you know this?
I don't know.
So the guys, Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, who wrote the Little Mermaid songs,
yeah,
they became famous because they wrote Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, right.
And there's a song in that called Somewhere That's Green that is
I know because I played Audrey.
Did you really?
Yes.
Do you know that is like my dream of life, to play
you would be
Audrey in a
so
production
great.
of Little Shop of Horrors?
You would be so great.
I just like I want it so bad. And just
Yes.
specifically that Ellen Green version of
Yeah.
Audrey. Like, I live for her heaving bosoms, and when she goes from this voice to like suddenly simmer, it's
Her
like
belting.
so good. Oh,
I know.
I want to live that fantasy. I do.
Yeah.
Someone out there put me in Little Shop of Horrors. I will. Well, no, you have to fly me to wherever you are, but I will do it for hotel accommodations and a fat chunk of change. So
that was a fun part. That was my first musical back after I'd had my twins. They were only 13 months when I did that.
You came back into a starring role?
It was just at a little theater, but yeah. I mean,
there are no little theaters.
Only little theater people like me. I am little. I'm only 5'4". But Somewhere That's Green, though, you're talking about the 50s housewife.
But the form of the songs, they're basically a part of your world, somewhere that's green. Like,
that's true.
It's like the same song.
Oh, that is so true. I'm gonna have to go back and listen. Yeah, but that makes sense if it's written by the same people.
They were like,
we're on to you guys.
I mean, if you have something that works, and then you get your first big, it's Disney, guys. They're like, it's like, okay, we can pull out this Somewhere That's Green, and we could just, and oh my God, if they had not, little girls everywhere would never know, myself included, the power of part of your world.
Yeah. The magic of it. God. Seriously.
It unlocked my life. My life.
I mean, they're both about like longing for something. There's a lot of similarities when you think about it between Audrey and Ariel and that whole.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting too deep here.
Oh gosh. Getting in the weeds with Audrey and Ariel. Ooh, both A names.
Exactly. Wow. That's what I was thinking too. Okay. Before we do keep making shit, I thought it would be good if our segment keep making shit. I thought it would be good if we. Damn it, Candi! I can't say anything around you without you.
No. I'm just thinking, like, for the listener, this is their first episode,
right?
So they're like, okay,
that's what we're doing here. All right, I'm down for it. I think we should share some creativity hacks. I was thinking about this the other day that, we talk about creativity on this show, and that's kind of our deal. And you and I are both creators, and I just love a good hack. And I'm sure that both of us have valuable things that we could share. So do you have a favorite creativity hack? It doesn't have to be a big thing, but just anything that makes your life easier as a creator.
Makes my life easier as a creator. Well, okay. When I hear you say creativity hacks, I think like maybe a way to bust through a creative block,
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
And so that makes me think about like some fun activities that you can do as a creative that maybe takes some of the pressure out of your hands or off of your shoulders. Pressure on your hands, that doesn't really sound right. But takes the pressure off and kind of makes it like a game, like a creative game. Like one thing that I used to do that is really fun is go to the library and like randomly just reach out and grab books. Like if something just a word on a spine catches my eye, grab this book, I grab this book. And or I look through some books and I'm like, I like these illustrations. This is weird, and then take them all and I would like make photocopies of them, like of these pages, but kind of random too.
Yeah.
And then take all those photocopies back over to like a table and cut things out and start putting things together, like taping things together on other blank pieces of paper. And
I like
basically
that.
creating art, but that's just very in the moment. And it's just kind of like, you're almost like unconsciously doing it. You're just like, here I'm cutting out this picture of like a chicken, like fertilizing the egg, and then I'm cutting out this random other piece of like text, and together they're kind of funny and it's weird and it's something that like I would never have thought of on my own. But I don't
You're
know.
turning off your conscious mind and just letting your subconscious take over. I mean, really, like your inner child in a way.
Yeah.
Because that's how a child would approach it, just kind of coming in, oh, that looks cool. That looks cool. And there's not really a product per se. It's just putting interesting things together.
Exactly. And when I used to do it, I would do it with a friend and we would both go, but we didn't really interact the whole time. But we did go, we go out, we collect our books, we go make our photocopies, then we kind of go back to our tables, cut things out, put them on other pieces of paper so those could be photocopied as the new thing that they were, and then sort of share those with each other after the fact, which gave it a nice little reward as well. So it can be a nice, like if you have a friend that you feel comfortable with, it can be an outing, like a fun.
Yeah. And then I think you're more likely to do it if you have someone that you're meeting somewhere and you're not as likely to just put it off and think, oh, I'll do it later.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Cool. That's a great hack. I like that. And that's very good for getting through a block, I would think, because you're just opening up your mind a little bit.
Yeah, just have some fun and get a little randomness in there. Make it a game.
Yeah, totally. All right, I have one that I was thinking about.
I want to hear it.
Okay, this kind of came to me this week, and it kind of comes and goes. I've been trying to write more ever since the conference, getting inspired, and
I love it.
And I had like the beginnings of an idea of a joke that could work, but it just was still like really faint and I couldn't quite see it yet in my head. And I was finishing up my walk with my dog that I take every day, and I always listen to podcasts when I do that. So I had my AirPods in, and I was just finishing up things around the house and about to get a shower and stuff and to get writing for the day. And kind of behind the podcast in my mind was this faint wisp of the idea of a joke. And finally, I realized like I need to stop listening to other things. If I want this joke to talk to me and make itself known, like if it's going to formulate, I got to turn off all the distractions. It sounds like such common sense, but I tend to go around all day with something like I'm reading or listening to or watching, and there's just almost no silence. And so I finally just turned the podcast off, took my AirPods out, got my shower, and that is the best place for ideas because you don't have the distractions. You're just, you're on autopilot. And sure enough, when it had a little bit of space to have, to grow, the joke formulated. And yeah, that's my hack, is just getting quiet. Even if you don't have an idea, and sometimes especially if you have other people's content constantly in your ears, in your eyes, whatever, like filling your brain, there's no room for your stuff to come out. So give it a little bit of space and it'll come out. So that's my hack.
I love it. I am I feel so guilty actually lately for my lack of like doing the regular work. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
like if it's not something that's like for a project or it's due tomorrow or it's something, like I'm not like, ugh, I feel so guilty about not doing the artist's way work.
Yeah. I heard someone phrase it as the stuff that's important but not urgent. The
Right,
urgent stuff always gets done, but the
right.
important stuff, it just gets pushed off on the back burner. It's easy to do.
And guys, The Artist's Way is a book by a woman named Julia Cameron that came out in the 90s, maybe?
Yeah, I think
And
that's right.
and it's all about, just kind of accessing your creativity and making it work for you, finding a way to like access it better and be healthy as an artist. And a big component of the artist's way is doing morning pages, which is daily journaling. Daily 3 pages a day, freehand journaling without stopping.
Yeah, and it's just basically a sounding board for your, I don't know, for your inner thoughts just to get out. It's not like nice writing, carefully formulated. It is just
It's not even meant for you to read. It's
No.
just it's an exercise in like turning on the tap, and if all you can think is I don't know what to write, then you write I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write until something else starts coming out. And it for me became a hugely almost spiritual process where I would be feeling clunky and funky all the way through page 1 and page 1.5 and page 2, but by page 3, it was like some other force would start to move through me. Something that felt more like my true self or a freaking angel or I don't know what. Something.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Like
I'm going to agree with you on that. It is almost spiritual. It's like, we'll have to do a whole other episode on Artist Way because there's so much you could say. Yeah, it's just about creativity in your life, however that means. It doesn't have to be in a huge way that you become Erma Bombeck and become this best-selling author or anything. It's just about how it improves your everyday life, whether that be quilting or painting for fun or whatever that means to you.
Whatever floats your boat.
You know what? We should lead an Artist Way group sometime.
What is like where we all do the book together?
Yeah, you haven't done that before?
No.
There's different groups that people will do.
I'm terrified of that.
I laugh at you being terrified. I did it.
Even just doing this podcast is a level of commitment that I'm like, oh, every 2 weeks we're going to have an episode. Oh boy, here we go.
All right, well,
here we go.
Hold off. Oh man. All right, you want to do our next segment, keep making shit, before we head out?
Everyone, welcome to our next segment. Keep making shit. Keep making shit. You better make it. Hi, guys, and welcome to Keep Making Shit.
You just did a whole other sub show.
The part of the show where we talk about shit we're making or shit we're not making. We talk about shit, and today we're feeling like shit. So we're going to lay down the shit in a way that you can understand it with a
And
one.
we're going to see how many times we can get the word shit in here.
It's like
shitting.
It's like our rating just keeps like bumping from like G to PG to PG-13.
I'm not stopping till we get to NC-17, baby.
I think you'd have to say shit quite a few times to get there.
Oh, damn it. Well, we'll ratchet it up a little bit. Anyway, what shit did you make, Candi?
What shit did you make, Candi? I made a what did I make? Oh, I know what I made. Well, I oh gosh, what did I make? I made a thing a couple days ago with this guy on I think on TikTok. His name is Better Than Bad, but he's also known as Brilliant Drive. And I can't remember which one is Instagram and which one is TikTok, but he does those. But he's this really adorable guy, young man on the mainland. I'm not actually even sure where he is, probably like California or something. And he makes funny songs and funny videos. So our worlds kind of like overlap a little bit in TikTok world. And we had chatted on DMs. He slid right into my DMs.
I knew you were going to say that because I was going to say
it. And was like, we should do a collaboration. And I'm like, oh my God, I would love that. I would love that. But then of course, like, time passed and we didn't talk. And then like, we would periodically, the other person would put out a video and we'd be like, check in with them and be like, oh, I still want to do a thing. So yeah, like after this last time of putting out the LGBTQ video, which I just put on Instagram, he wrote me and was like, okay, let's do this. Here's this beat. Check it out and see what you want to do. And then we were just kind of talking about like what we'd been doing. Like, what are we going to write a song about? And we both really like Great British Bake Show. So so it's got kind of
it's about that?
It's very it's like there is a chorus in it that's like, you don't want a soggy bottom. You don't want a soggy bottom. It's better to have a crusty bottom.
I can't wait to hear it.
It was very operatic. It's not quite like but I did like that performance.
It's got like Queen vibes. Are you watching the latest season
of
Great British Baking Show?
Oh, yes.
Have you seen Sandro?
Oh my
holy
God.
Shit.
I don't talk about it. I don't talk about the way that I feel at home because I
don't either. I don't either. That's why I got to talk to you about it.
I'm just like, and since my husband is also attracted to men, I'm like, surely you
gotta be careful.
He's feeling the way I'm feeling because I feel like my eyes are bulging out of my head. I'm just like,
yes,
oof. And his what's the word? I think he's gay. Like at this point,
I think so.
I think he's gay.
I'm pretty sure, but did you see? Oh my God, I gotta calm down.
His eyes,
the Halloween costumes
with
when he was wearing the wings and the eyeliner.
Yes,
that sent me over the edge.
Same here. I was just like, you got to be kidding me. You are like,
and
he's like, it's like he stepped off a Go-Go Boy box at GAY in London and was like, hey, guess what? I can also bake incredible cake.
Yes.
He is.
The thing is that is not my type at all. The big muscly guys, like, no. I've never been attracted to that type.
Sandro. He's so charming. He's so handsome.
Yes.
He's like a Disney prince.
He is. Okay. Woo!
Wow. Okay.
So that was your shit that you made, and a lovely journey into Hotville. I love it. So
Hotville.
I'm going to tell you about what I made before I lose it again.
Please tell me.
It was really funny. At the Erma conference, one of the sessions was on making TikTok videos. It was like TikTok for writers, which I loved because we talked about this on my podcast before on My Effing Desk, that I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do with TikTok. I can't do it. And you were giving me some advice, which was really good advice about reading my own writing on there. And I still just had not really messed with it very much. But this was such a great session. And so she, it was like a 2-hour session with all these tips on how to make good TikTok videos, good TikToks, not videos, whatever. So I applied some of them. I applied some of the logic and used some of the tips this week and made a TikTok. And it was my best one ever. It was my most successful one ever. It is still getting likes.
Yay!
Yeah, and it was just so fun.
Well, now it's really sounding like this thing is right up my alley.
I know.
No, was it more than one day?
Yes. The conference?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3 days.
3 days.
But yeah, I finally started seeing more of the fun after I feel like she explained it to the presenter explained it to us a little more about like what the vibe is and everything, because I tend to think of it as being really young TikTok, like it's for, like Gen Z. And she was like, no, there's so many people on there. There's pockets of all ages.
It's the new TV in a way.
Totally. Yeah. So that was it was fun to make. It was super short to make, which is unusual for me because I take forever. I made it in like 20 minutes, and this immediately was like bam, 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 bam. And I put it on Instagram too, so I could recycle and repurpose, and it's taken off there too. So that was the shit that I made, and I was very proud of it.
I'm proud of you too.
Yay.
Gosh, look at us making shit. And I like that we both made shit with a prompt. That is one of the things that I think is the hardest for a lot of us, is like, how do I get going without some external force being like, okay, right. Okay, yeah. I made this music. What are you going to do with it? Like as soon as he sent that to me, I ran home and recorded because I was like, oh, someone's on the other end. Someone's on the line. And and it's just so exciting I love to collaborate so much. And
completely.
And I love an assignment. Helps. I love an assignment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everybody, we want to hear what you've made too. So hit us up on our socials, wherever. We're on all the things you'll hear at the end.
Yeah.
But let us know what you've made, or you can email us at leslieandthedragqueen@gmail.com.
Plus, if you have any creative hacks as well, please lay those on us. Creative hacks, creative prompts. I love a prompt.
Yeah, if you have a prompt for us, ooh, that would be so fun. You can give us motivation to get our asses to work.
Yeah, you could prompt us to do something on the show.
That's right.
You could be here promptly at 9 a.m. and give us our prompt, and then we'll go to senior prompt.
All right, Candi, should we wrap this up so we can go pass out from work?
Wrap this up so we can pass out. I don't have time to pass out. I am taking a bunch of wigs over to my drag daughter's house, Angel Davida. Yeah, I'm going to give her a wig styling lesson. But at the same time, my symphony show is less than a week away now. And when
crunch time.
Yeah, a little pee dribble just came out just when I said that. Just a little one. all the inside of me like crunched up together, like,
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to stress eat, which is like exactly what I should not be doing right now because I got to fit in these gowns for the show.
Yeah. It's so hard. It's like exactly what they tell you not to do when you're dealing with stress to make it worse.
Like peanut butter
it's like
pretzels.
That's exactly what sounds good.
Peanut butter pretzels. You bought a whole
be all right.
jug of them from Costco.
We get those same ones.
I'm gonna be so fat. It's fine.
No, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. And then next episode, you'll be able to tell us all about it.
Yes, it'll be done and over with. Thank goodness. Okay, I'm gonna go style some hair and memorize my lines. Wish me.
And I'm going to try to get my fever to come back down.
Oh my God. Wait, are
pass
you
out.
literally feverish now?
Yes.
You've been doing this with a fever?
Yes.
I just thought you had some sniffles.
No, I think I've got the flu. It sucks.
This is going to be our fugue state.
I
You're not
know.
even going to remember what you said in this.
I'm not. This
And
was
then
a fever dream.
Erma Bombeck flew over the Atlantic, and she was the first woman alive.
But they never found her. No. Apologies now to the Bomb-eck family.
Yeah, no. If anyone appreciates the injection of a little bit of humor into the moment of serious talk, it's the Bombeck family, I'm sure.
That is true. Yes.
Because they are
Right.
what? Da Bombeck.
Will you leave their last name alone, Candi? Walk away.
Oh, bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.
Enjoying the show? Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Help us spread the word by rating and reviewing the show. And tell a friend while you're at it. Got a story for the humiliation station or for our Keep Making Shit segment? Send it to us at leslieandthedragqueen@gmail.com or on any of our socials, and you could be featured on an upcoming episode. You can find Leslie and the Drag Queen on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.